Hey there, Gemini, Gemini sun, moon, and rising sign. Guess what? This is a month of September where your fun, play, and pleasure are on the increase, but also your satisfaction in anything creative, romantic, anything to do with your children are really getting a beautiful, beautiful glow. At the same time, you are going to be working hard around financial gain. And a lot of that work will pay off at the end of the month, in which your hard work becomes the greater success story for your financial situation. So hard work gives you money, and love and romance and fertility and pregnancy and fun are all on the highlights for some of you. So Gemini, let's get this broken down into details. We have an eclipse this month as well. I'm talking about that as well. The first eclipse in the Pisces axis of the sky, with the Pisces Virgo axis becoming fully alive next year. That eclipse in September is something we're going to address in some significant detail here. So stay tuned for that September 17th event as well. When we do this kind of astrology, I often encourage you to listen for your sun, because it's going to be about your purpose and career, your moon about your home and your body and your emotions. And of course, the rising sign is you, the character in the game of life, the avatar in the matrix or in the game. And so therefore you can listen to that as often the most accurate delineation, although some people like their sun sign for your core essential nature as well. Well, guys, first of all, before I break down the sky and we talk about what's going on for you, a reminder that if you want to learn astrology with me, I do have my Sky Reader starting the last weekend in September. Live class, 6 weeks long, coaching calls, homework on a private Facebook group. High touch. I've taught it 4 times before. Maybe the last time I teach it. There is a wait list below. It's not really to get in. It's just an early bird discount notice and a reminder that the shopping cart, tuition cart is open. It'll probably be opening in September. So if you want to join me and learn astrology, come aboard. I'd love to have you. And if you want to get my all signs videos, 2024 all signs videos, great. They're all down below for less than half price. They used to be for sale. 77 for the bundle and 25 per sign. Everything's way discounted. We're halfway through the year. And by the way, the other thing I'd say to you about Sky Reader is about timing tools. My course is not about navel gazing. It's about learning some ancient tools to understand timing in your life, but also give you the fundamentals of astrology and how to read your chart. Now, let's move on. This is a Sky Gemini. This is a Sky Gemini that is really dominated by some big stories, right? Some new things are happening. So we're going to start out talking about those new things, and of course the eclipse. Some of the new things are like Mars. Where is he going? Venus, and of course Mercury. Where are the planets traveling this month? Then we're going to talk about the eclipse, and then I'm going to break down every detail of the month ahead, bit by bit. So first of all, let's just talk about Mars for you. I think Mars is an important narrative. We're here for at least half an hour, so tuck yourself in, get a tea or a glass of wine. Mars is moving through the sign of Cancer, and he has been here before, most recently, way back on March the 28th of 2023 to the third week of May of 2023. Back then, you had Mars moving through your second house of earnings, of money, of resources, of financial possessions, and food styles. A lot of times when Mars goes through the second house, we eliminate foods that are bad for us. And you may be doing a food elimination diet September 4th to the November 3rd. Indeed, I have a progressed sun in Gemini. Listen always for your natal sun first. And I'm doing a AIP protocol diet that month. So it fits for me. So if you want to take a dietary shift, you want to exit stage left with a new result or quit an addiction or anything like that, look at that September 4th to November 3rd, by the way, SDAU. But when Mars is in the second house, you're working your ass off, and he's going to be back after a retrograde. He's spending almost 4 or 5 months in the sign of your second house. This is his direct motion through Cancer. So again, November 4th to November 3rd. If you're an entrepreneur or self-starter, especially, that's his signature in the second house, you are working your ass off because you're putting action and will and decision-making power into your earnings. And in all of that time that you're doing that, he's in a whole sign flow to Saturn, the god of mastery and authority, in your 10th house of career. This is you working really hard to be successful in your career matters during this transit. And eventually it even gets a little bit more intense when Venus goes into Scorpio later on, and we end up seeing, in essence, the time frame of approximately September 23rd to September 23rd to October 17th, a Venus addition. So you work really hard but you will have the financial success that comes from all of that hard work as a result of what's happening here. Sometimes we spend more money than we think we don't mean to spend so much money, but sometimes we spend more money with Mars moving through the second house. But because he's in a trine to Saturn, it's wise spending, sage-like spending. We spend to invest. Like, for example, I may get a new laptop, because I need one for my business. What kind of investment spending or wise spending or cautious spending that's necessary will you do here? September 4th to November 3rd, who knows? But it will be on the mark, so not to worry too much about that. When Mars is here, you might need some dental work. Some of you might need some kind of sharp penetrating objects connected to your mouth, nose, or face. Or you could injure yourself too. So be careful. Mars is in detriment here. He's in the sign of his fall. But nonetheless, it could just mean you need some dental work. That's all. So dental work could be an issue going on for you at that time, or some kind of facial work involving penetrating or laser-like devices or injectables. Honestly, don't get an injectable in your face with Mars in detriment here. I mean, it's never going to look good anyway. That stuff looks like hell after time, but my opinion. But I just say I wouldn't do it if I were you during this transit. I would for no fillers, no Botox injections. Maybe if you want to stay clear, I would stay clear. Especially with Pluto opposite him in the 8th house, I would stay clear of Botox, fillers, injectables, or unnecessary facial surgery, okay, between September 4th and November the 3rd. Advice, take it or leave it. And as we move forward into the other stories, Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, is blessing you before she moved into Libra. Okay, so we're going to talk about what she was doing. She was in her detriment in Virgo. And you might have found that having Venus in Virgo before August the 29th, 3 weeks before, things in your home brought you less pleasure and less enjoyment. And conversations and people in your home were not as pleasant to you, or you felt less enjoy, less satisfaction about home, things going on in your home. Okay, so that is done. And now she moved on the 29th of August into her home kingdom of Libra, and that's your 5th house of sexuality. And if you are in a relationship, it's going to bring more fun and play and pleasure to your sex life. As she moves into the 5th house, she's also going to bring fertility. And if you are of an age in which you or your partner can conceive a child, then therefore you must be more watchful here, because Venus will bring fertility into the narrative. Venus moving through your 5th house, therefore, as well, until the 22nd of September, is extremely good for fun. You're going to enjoy life, more pleasure, more play, more satisfaction in the joys of life, more fun. And if you're entrepreneurial, she blesses your entrepreneurial business. And if you're a creative, artistic type, it's a great time to write the song, do the painting, get your creativity muse all fired up. Venus here is also traveling with Eros, and Jupiter's traveling with Cupido. We end up with a sky full of passion, life force energy, and ardor, especially when it comes to sex, romance, creativity. Your children are getting collateral benefits during this transit. It means that even though it's not their chart, having Venus here on the yearly gives them a luckier time, a more safe time, a more good time than normal. And so you can see your children, young or old, be more in a thrival mode from the window of the 29th of August to September 22nd. I would also say it's good for winning money. This is a house of good fortune, and games of chance and things to do with winning money can happen when Venus is in this part of the sky. And because she's also connecting to Pluto in the 8th house, there is a wealth yoga in the sky for you. And again, some of you may wish to try your hand at lottery tickets, especially the 14th, 15th, and 16th 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th of September. Looks really sweet on you for perhaps winning some money. Know your limit, play within it. I'm not encouraging gambling. I'm just saying within reason, buy a ticket and see what happens, or go to the casino or whatever. Take a risk on some kind of way to win money. Poker game. I don't know. If you're single, Venus moving through this part of your chart ushers in a very positive new relationship. Single Geminis want to date, go for it. This is always auspicious. And this time around, the first 3 weeks of September are your dating golden ticket time for new relationships to form under an auspicious sky. It's even doubly auspicious because Venus is traveling with Juno, the goddess of committed long-term love. And so any new relationships that may form during this time are good. And if you're already in a long-term committed love, I mean, Juno and Venus together here, especially mid-September, could up-level your commitment. I don't know, an engagement, a commitment to move in together, a longer-term plan or strategy for the relationship may emerge at that time. Venus will leave this sign of Libra and move into her detriment in Scorpio, which is your sixth house of health and work matters. Now, no matter where Venus goes, she brings good things, but be cautious about buying a new pet or signing a rental agreement at this time, because rental agreements and pets belong to the sixth house as well as work matters. It could be the not the best time between September 23rd to October 17th to sign a rental contract, to rent your property out, to get a new pet for your home, to maybe sign on for a new job. I don't know. It's a little tricky. She wants to bring you something good, and she wants to bring you some fun, play, and pleasure in the house of work, but she's also in detriment. Office romances begin here, could go the distance despite the fact that they may be forbidden, because she is in a trine to Saturn, in a whole sign trine. So you may find new love stories emerging that give you a sense of, oh, wow, I could possibly meet this person in my office space and really be happy with it. That's more true as you move into October. Don't forget, it's September 23rd that she moves into Scorpio, but she will not try and retrograde Saturn in the career office work story until the month of October. But in October, office romance may be encouraged by the universe, and you may find your partner there. If you are going to buy a pet, despite her condition, better to buy the pet in October than in September, right? The last week of September, she's not really making any decent contact with Saturn. Now we're going to talk about Mercury that's moving through the sign of Virgo on September 9th to the 26th, coming off of his very dragged out long stay in Leo through the retrogradation cycle behind you. Mercury now in the sign of, and how did that look for you? A lot of communications, phone calls, emails, or travel going on during his 2-month stay in Leo before this. But now he moves September 9th into your fourth house in his dignity. This is really good for signing contracts for buying and selling property, especially with Pluto retrograde into your eighth house of banks and mortgages, and Ceres, the goddess of the harvest, in there as well. You're looking at a really sweet part of the sky that could lend itself September 9th to the 26th to make really good decisions regarding legal matters, contracts, agreements, buying and selling land, home, and property. However, Mercury here just means a lot of communication in and from your home, a lot of conversations in your home, a lot of fun and social time in your home may be occurring, a lot of parties in your home even. Mercury likes socializing, and he's in that fourth house of the home. So you do entertain maybe more from your home than you normally do. And that would be September 9th to the 26th. When he's in this part of your sky, he's got the sun traveling with him. It is Virgo season. And this is indicating a possibility, especially September 9th to the 21st, that you may be doing some sort of communication around money that you get from an inheritance because of Pluto's retrogradation. It's from the past. You knew this money would come to you. It's not a surprise. And money from your past to do with legacy wealth, inheritances, trust funds may be on the radar in a positive way for you during that time frame of September 9th to the 26th. And in that very same time frame, possibly because Venus will eventually move, right? Like, think about this. Venus will move into Scorpio on the 23rd, and Mercury is here until the 26th. It gives you a tight little window of time between September the 23rd and the 26th, with both Mercury and Venus in a whole sign flow from the fourth to the sixth house. Beautiful, tight little window for renting out a property or signing an agreement to be a tenant in a property. Again, golden window, September 23rd to the 26th. Similarly, golden window, September 23rd to the 26th, to procure a new pet for your home. All right, when Mercury leaves your fourth house on September the 26th, and he will be in the sign of Libra, your fifth house, to October 14th, this is a nice time for you when it comes to lots of communication with your children, lots of maybe social time with your children, maybe a lot more communication with your long-term marriage or love partner if there's a lot of romance still in that union. Mercury here is really good for marketing, selling when you have an entrepreneurial business. And it's also really good for anything in an entrepreneurial business that involves lots of communication. Mercury in your fifth house is really good for creative projects that involve writing, and he will get into that fifth house of the, Libra library, right? Mercury words and ideas, September 26th to October the 14th. And one last thing about Mercury in your fifth house is that if you have to have important conversations with your children, Mercury facilitates positive outcomes in those conversations, phone calls, emails with those children, young or old. So addressing situations with those children will benefit you. If you want to hold off until September 26th to October 14th, those communications go extremely well. Now, also, let's move ourselves into a breakdown of the sky bit by bit. And we're going to talk first about the eclipse. You might want to go back to what you were doing in 2006, 2007, and the spring of 2008, when we had eclipses beginning to activate the area of your sky that is your career, Pisces 10th house, and your fourth house, which happens to be matters to do with your private and home life, Virgo, Pisces 10th house. The eclipses in 25, 26, in Pisces will expand your career, increase your exposure, make you more ambitious, make you more successful in a worldly way. The first eclipse in the sign of Pisces is back again. It's going to happen at 18 degrees, 25 degrees of Pisces on the 17th, 18th of the month. It's a hybrid eclipse. It's taking energy from the Aries part of your sky, which is allies, benefactors, and career gains in particular. So there's a real sense that your financial increase from your career is quite intense in the 6 months that follows the September eclipse. But all eclipses are about change, and certainly a solar eclipse that's lunar can be about endings. What part of the career cycle that you're in is coming to a closure? And with Saturn up there, that's the thing Saturn does anyway. By 2026, a lot of you will have retired out of a peak time of great success in your career to find something new. With Saturn here with the eclipse wedged between Saturn on one side retrograde and Neptune also retrograde, it's sandwiched between realism and fantasy, and you're disabused of any kind of unrealistic expectation about your career, but you're also in under the eerie glow of a lunar eclipse, able to see something new in your career story. And that eclipse I'm going to go into a deeper dive into, really deep, because we also have that sextile from Uranus. This eclipse is not a simple story. We will be covering that in my Eclipse All Signs video. It's coming out, so stay tuned for that. What else can I tell you? Oh, I think that eclipse just basically means a completion, but also a change in career matters. And it does look like with the hybrid energy, it is also increasing your financial gain over the course of the months that follow that eclipse. And with Mercury witnessing it from the fourth house, a lot of your career gains are coming from things that you are doing in and from your home. Moving into the next story, or decisions and ideas you percolate in and from your home. Moving into the next story of the sky, September 1st to the 4th, we're breaking down the chronology of the month ahead. So we'll start there. You might get a pen or a paper because there's a lot of detail here. This is a busy, busy month. September 1st to the 4th, Mars squares Neptune. Mars is still moving at this time through the part of the sky that is your sign. Oh my God, my brain is going offline, of Gemini. Mars is in the house of you. Mars is in the house of you. You are action-oriented, decision will powered up for the last 6 weeks. And as you get to September 1st to the 4th, he's squaring Neptune. You're coming to these decisions and actions that are squaring the god of fantasy or illusion in your 10th house. You could be working harder than ever around things to do with YouTube, Instagram Reels, creativity, storytelling, music projects. Those are Neptune themes. But you're also maybe going to be realizing where you need to be more realistic. Saturn's up there, and be less driven by the vision of what's possible and coming into connection with what's really possible here. On September 3rd and 4th, Virgo, new moon. Now, The new moon is a new start, a fresh beginning. Something is going to emerge here in the next 6 months to do with home. And now you have a new moon every year. Nobody changes their home on the yearly. So you have to ask yourself, what is the new feature of the new moon? We'll be doing a video on it, right? What's the elemental qualities of the new beginning? Well, the new moon is a beginning here that may involve something, possibly, I mean, to do with what Saturn wishes you to create in your career zone, right? So sometimes fourth house matters can be kind of like the soil that the tree of your career is rooted in the soil of the fourth house, and your reputation, 10th house, is a flourishing apples on the tree. So a new beginning here is importantly considered to do, I would consider it to be a benefic story, that you want to create some kind of new beginning from the very foundation level of a career path, because you're also going to see Mercury moving into the place where the moon happened only a few days later. So a Virgo new moon is quite a positive moon in many ways. Wait till I get to my new moon video, subscribe, like, check it out. I'll get a lot more detail in that than I can give you here. As we move into the story of the same time frame, the 3rd and 4th of the month of September, Venus happens to hit that south node where the eclipses have been happening in the sign of Libra. She's going to bump into that 6-degree south node in Libra, and it can be a disappointment or a loss or a redirect by letting go in a romantic love story, in a situation with one of your children. And if you could conceive with this a child, but it will be a soulmate karmic relationship from that conception. South Node Venus here could be some surrender, let go, and release around some pleasure, fun, and joy factor that you realize you don't really need or want. You might just surrender, let go, let God around some pleasure that may not be so great after all. And the 5th house letting go can also be like you have a creative project and you just throw it down the garbage can, right? Like, this painting's not working out. It may not be that big a deal, but there is this sort of Venus South Node story going on in the beginning of the month. Now, anything you do let go of, lover, romance, whatever, creative project, don't worry about it. Jupiter's blessing it in a whole sign flow from your 1st house. So it's going to all work out. Indeed, to remind you, you are very lucky and very blessed in the next year because Jupiter's traveling through the sign of you. So your sun, career, your moon, home matters, and your rising, everything about you is the golden Midas touch, and you have 4-leaf clovers coming out of your hair or whatever. So that said, anything that Venus has to surrender or lose in the 5th house in the first week of September or so is all going to work out for the best in a really powerful way. And as we move to September 6th and the 7th, Mercury will square Uranus. Now, Mercury squaring Uranus is just unexpected news or surprises that you didn't see coming, usually through communication. Mercury is still in Leo at this time. The surprises pertain to younger sibling, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, and neighborhood situations, writing projects, or some unpleasant or unexpected surprise in your online world. Uranus is saying foreign lands, foreign tourists, and far off places is also generating a surprise connected to the 3rd house. It could just simply be a disruption in a travel plan, for example, on September 6th to the 7th. At the same time, September 6th to 7th, Saturn is opposite the sun, and the sun is opposite Saturn. Ha ha ha. Okay, I don't know. It's kind of like a moment of control or hardship or struggle about something going on in your home. The sun is all by its lonesome. We do not have Mercury there to watch over it. And the sun in the midnight hour, the 4th house, is a little bit difficult because it's a bright light in the dark, right? So it's like, so who turned the light on at the bar at the end of the night? So you're feeling this kind of bright light in the dungeon of the chart, like really highlighting your private life, your childhood issues. And all of a sudden there's a square opposition, around, the 6th and 7th to something you're trying to master or be authoritative in your career. And it can really look like your career is going to take a bit of a slump around that time, the 6th and 7th, mainly because Saturn might be saying, I'm tired. He's the old guy up there. And all this, career ambition might be taking a snooze on you around 6th to the 7th as you look more clearly at the foundations of why you are persevering so hard in your career matters. On September 11th and to the 13th, Jupiter squares off with the sun, and that's the same sun in Virgo. Now, Jupiter's having a conflict here as well. You may be really dealing with some issues here that are about childhood stories, someone you live with, like and a bit of a conflict of wills. You're optimistic, faithful, and hopeful, and maybe somebody in your home is, really pushing against that optimism or that faithfulness or energetically, upbeat energy. September 11th through the 13th, and the sun in the fourth house can be indicating legacy wealth from a father figure. That doesn't have to be a dad or a granddad. It can be if you're married to someone older or something, but even father figures from your past. Mercury, sun is squaring Jupiter, the god of wealth, while also trining Pluto in the house of inheritances. And so there's a possibility of some stories here to do with wealth from your family of origin and some intensity around that, September 11th to the 13th. And Mercury will sextile Mars, and Mercury sextiles Mars during that same window of time, 11th to the 13th. Well, Mercury's in dignity and has great strength here. He's already moved into your fourth house. He's in the early degrees, and he's agreeing with Mars about your money. So earnings, money, and resources are in uplift, but Mercury's in the house of home. So buying, selling a home, some flow of financial wellness through a legacy wealth inheritance or money from some father figure in your family of origin. Or because Jupiter is the ruler of your seventh house of marriage, a marriage partnership deriving great wealth in your shared resources. Another story that could happen here. Again, September 11th through the 13th. On September 13th and the 14th, Venus will trine Jupiter, the best thing of the year, best thing of the sky this month. Venus, the goddess of money and beauty and love, in her home Libra kingdom, is so strong. She's sitting with her sun, Eros, and she's conjunct Eros, the asteroid of passion and love. And she's also sitting with Juno, commitment, in your fifth house of romantic love, and flowing to Jupiter in the house of you, September 13th, 14th, and 15th, is so powerful. It could be you fall madly in love with yourself, madly in love with someone else. Someone else reflects you back at you. But if you are a female egg bearer, this is the fertility transit of your life, as Jupiter in the house of you is about children and Venus is about sperm and ovum, and all said and done. I said, even you guys could get, somebody pregnant here. So this is one of those times of year, and it may be well received. You may want this. You may be excited about it. So Geminis out there, listen, this is your fertility transit. If you're trying to have a baby, good time to get pregnant. Ooh, September 14th, 15th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's a good time for creative projects to flourish. It's a great time for your children to do well. It's a good time for things to do with entrepreneurship to really hit a high note. And we move then into the eclipse of September 17th and 18th. I already talked about it at the beginning. We keep continuing on. On September the 18th, the Mercury opposition to Saturn. Well, I think I already mentioned it earlier, but it's just like what's going on in and from your home that's at odds with what's going on in and from your workplace, and what communications are needed to straighten it out, September the 18th. On the 19th to the 20th, the sun will trine Uranus. Happy surprises to do with career and purpose or male figures or authority figures in your life. Uranus is sitting in your 12th house, so it may take you back to people from foreign shores and foreign lands, or some uplift in positive financial ways to do with money made from far off foreign shores and places. And with this forming a grand Earth trine with Algol, Uranus in your 12th, and Taurus, retrograde Pluto in your 8th house, money from the past or financial gain from the past will show up, potentially connected to legacy wealth, home, property, and real estate. And for some reason with Uranus, some of it could be foreign shores and people and long distance places and far off places. Energetically happening when? Happening in the sky for you on September 19th and 20th. An Earth trine brings wealth, financial security, and resources to you. Again, property, home, land, real estate, mortgages, banks, credit cards, and loans, and stock investments, etc. Positive and surprising developments emerging in a powerful Earth trine at that time, September 19th, really to the 23rd. And that's because as well, the sun is trining Pluto as we move closer to the 22nd. And so again, we're looking at money uplift stories for you and homeland resources stories on the uplift. And then when we look at Venus squaring Pluto around the 22nd, 23rd, I mean, Venus is in dignity in your fifth house. She's pretty strong and she's having a tussle with retrograde Pluto in your eighth house. Now, there could be some power struggles here around money matters with a child or with a lover, basically, or a creative, artistic, or entrepreneurial project coming into a bit of a shared resources struggle. How do you parse the money between you and a business partner? That kind of thing, or the lottery wins between you and a partner, a spouse. Maybe there's complications in that and a little bit of intensity around the financial goodnesses here and how to share that money with another person. And you do have Athena, like she's like a lawyer in your seventh house for most of the month of September. And so, in what ways are you also lawyering up a bit or getting legal advice around contracts and agreements during the month of September? On September the 24th to the 25th to the 26th, so 24th to the 26th, another grand earth trine is forming, and this grand earth trine is connected to Mercury, taking the place of the sun. Now, Mercury stepped into the position the sun held at the late degrees of Virgo in the fourth house, trining Pluto in the eighth house of chunky money, also trining Uranus in the 12th house. There's surprising ways that money is coming to you that allows you to curb your expenditures, pay off debts, increase your wealth regarding property, land, and real estate. Yes, it can be a very inheritancy here as well because of the eighth house. So there is just good money stuff happening for many of the Gemini folk. Really loving this energy for you. September the 24th to the 26th, and Mercury represents news or contracts and deals and negotiations already. And he is in a whole sign flow to lawyerly Athena in your seventh house. So a lot of getting your ducks in a row legally as well. Right. When we move on, we see a cazimi. Mercury will be in the heart of the sun or conjunct the sun on the 6th degree of Libra with the south node at 6 degrees of Libra. I remind you that Venus touched down here on September 3rd and 4th, and there may be connections to September 3rd and 4th with what this cazimi is offering you. Every cazimi gives a breakthrough news, unexpected developments through the news, information, communications channels. This is happening in the fifth house with your children, right? With your romantic partner and with your fertility and pregnancy stories, with your entrepreneurship and all of that. The South Node is just destiny, fated events, right? Things to do with fate. We have an eclipse coming up close to this on October 2nd. This is before that eclipse on the 29th. What is the reveal that's cut to you through Mercury at about 6 weeks after? An insight, a download, a destined shift regarding creative projects, pregnancy, fertility, love, romance, and sexuality. And with the sextile to Athena in the seventh house, it could look like legal matters to do with long-term committed love, with a square to Ceres in your eighth house, more again about feeling lucky financially regarding big chunks of money that can come your way. If I had to sum up this whole sky, you're lucky with money and you're lucky with financial resources and you're lucky with love as a Gemini sun, moon, or rising. I'm really happy I have my progressed sun here. I'm going to get some collateral benefits from that. But you always listen for your main natal sky position first. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to check out my channel, like, subscribe, hit the bell for your notification, hit the more button in the description box below. You find all the things I have to offer, my courses, my Patreon community, who gets everything early access ad-free, including these videos. They're getting this on the day of recording, Wednesday, August the 21st. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I just did 3 in a row, and I'll see you on the next set of videos. Ciao, ciao.